We would like to welcome our honored guests, our veterans. If everyone would recognize our veterans and welcome them with a round of applause. Thank you. We want to thank you and honor you today for the service that you provided to our country. And we will begin our program with the presentation of colors. Everyone please stand. This does not require talking. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Be quiet. You may be seated.
Today, we will honor the fallen soldiers who could not be here with us today. fallen soldier battle cross is a symbol of a cross placed on the battlefield. It is made up of a soldier's rifle with the bayonet attached, stuck into the ground. Helmet on top, dog tags hanging from the rifle, and the boots of the fallen soldier. Its purpose is to show honor and respect for the fallen. The practice started during the Civil War as a means of identifying the bodies on the battleground. Today, it might seem in the battlefield or at the base camp as part of the ceremony to mourn, similar to attending a funeral, as this is typically not possible for soldiers still in the fight. The box. The box represents the grave of a fallen soldier. The rifle. A rifle with a bayonet is inserted into the box to represent the weapon used to protect the soldier's country so his country could be safe. The helmet. The helmet on top of the rifle and dog tags hanging from the rifle to identify the fallen body. Finally, the boots of the fallen soldier are placed in front of the rifle to represent where they once stood. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Michael Ireland. I used to be a warrior, as those all were. We're now called veterans, and we are survivors. I've got two pieces that I wrote for a PTSD program at the VA. This one's called Service. You took us fresh from being children. You took away everything we had known. You gave us a new family with brothers and sisters. You made us different and gave us all a will to protect and defend. You made us warriors, one and all. You placed us in harm's way and asked impossible things of us. We sacrificed, adapted, overcame, and delivered. And when you were done, you tried to dismantle the warriors you had forged. You took everything, our new family, our brothers, and our sisters. You told us one and all, thank you for your service. You put us back in the world you had taken from us, but it was different. We were different. And then it was done, but not forgotten. titled, Thank You for Your Service. Sometime after 9/11 and the reemergence of patriotism in this country, a total stranger said to me, "Thank you for your service." Nobody had said that to me from the time I returned from Vietnam until 9/11. It surprised me so much that I honestly did not know how to respond. I don't know why, but it made me feel very uncomfortable. As time went by, this occurred more and more, and I found that my response was either "thank you" or "you're welcome." That uncomfortable feeling still hangs in the background. I have asked myself why I feel this way. I believe it is because I don't feel I did anything special. When my country asked me to serve and protect its interests, I felt that it was my duty as a citizen to answer that call. At the time, it didn't mean I was happy about serving, but it was my duty. I learned over time that serving my country in the military was an honorable and rewarding profession. I'd served 20 years through good times and bad. I did this because as a citizen, it was payback time for all the freedoms and opportunities that were given to us at birth. I wanted these freedoms and opportunities to be there for my children and my grandchildren, just as they were for me. Freedom is not free. Ultimately, someone has to pay the price. How many of you have veterans in your family? Very good. There is a program in Old Fort this Sunday in which the group that I belong to, Brothers Like These, is presenting, and it's stories like these. So it starts at 1 o'clock. I would encourage you, if you do have a veteran in your family, drag them there, because they'll get a lot out of it. Thank you.
I'm David Roselle, Old Fort horse farmer. Whoa. In our community, we think of service as what the firefighters, police, EMT, and the first responders do to make our community safe. As a general rule, the people who perform these duties are working for and with the people they live with and know. They protect the places we live, attend school in, or worship. In time of weather disasters, other disasters, they help out where they are most needed. But their job is first to protect our local communities. This time of the year, we dedicate more time to honoring the people who served in the military. We have in our country good support from the people who live in this country. It is important and a big part of being good citizens that the people appreciate what our military does. The major difference between the military and civilian service people is the military is organized to protect the country against the rest of the world. The soldier differs from the fireman in that he fights a human enemy, not a fire. He uses bombs to solve big problems instead of bandages, but the soldier is also a member of our community. And when not on the battlefield, They're school teachers, church members, builders, citizens, and neighbors. There are many reasons for an individual to join the service of the military. Some people just enjoy fighting and physically engaging one another human. Military service is for some an escape from the life they don't like. Military in this country offers a chance to see the world and also an affordable way to get an education, not just in college credits, but in life skills. And patriotism is a word we don't hear much now, but it's real. And we have people who serve for that reason. In this country, 7 out of 100 citizens alive right now have served in some branch of the military. Considering the large number of wars we have fought in the last 100 years, that's not a real large number. It takes a lot of people to support a soldier in combat. So it's also not hard to see that only 1 in every 100 in this population ever took part in active combat. In war times, when the country needs soldiers, it will often ask young men to join the effort. There is rarely enough people who will join by choice, and the country will take civilians who are physically able, even if they don't voluntarily join. This government-sponsored enrollment is called the draft. My service was not exactly voluntary. I was drafted and asked to participate in an unpopular war effort. There are options to serving, but I had a tradition that made it hard to back out of service. My dad and my mother's brother were active in World War II, and between them they saw all the worst things that it had to offer. My grandfather served in World War I. He was part of the American force that saw every day of military action in that war, and then spent 4 months in occupied Germany and his clothes. My great-grandfather was part of the original Tennessee Volunteers. He fought in the Spanish-American War, 1898. I had 3 great-grandfathers who fought in the American Civil War, and no less than a dozen direct ancestors who fought in the American Revolutionary War in 1776. These men, my people, fought to give me and all of us a safe country in which to live and raise strong children. Tradition is a big part of my life. So what did I do during the war I was brought into? I'm sure I did what my ancestors did. I did what I was asked, as well as what I was able. I was fortunate to have been put into a medical company and repaired men who had been in more unfortunate places, and to do some medical things for the local civilians. Anytime you have a large group of young men gathered up in a small place, there will be need for a medicine man. I was fortunate enough to do it. We all can and should serve.
The gentleman that we were just privileged to hear speak, Mr. Ireland, he is from Nebo, and he was in Vietnam from 1968 through 1970, serving with the 101st Airborne Division and the 5th Division of Special Forces. He was an officer, and he continued in the Army until he retired. Mr. Roselle is from Old Fort. He served in Vietnam from 69 to 70 with Charlie Company 15 in the Medical Battalion. And he was attached to the 1st U.S. Cavalry Division. These are 2 examples of men who dedicated their lives and put their lives in harm's way for you. And you may say, but I wasn't alive during that time. They provided safety for this country, and they ensured that our freedoms would continue so that you're able to sit here and make the choices that you make without being told. You get to choose your education after high school. You get to choose your career. You get to choose what you're going to purchase at the grocery store. Your parents do right now. So many choices. You get to choose to protest. And that is because of the service that these men and women have provided for our country. It is an honor and a privilege for us to take this short time out to show our respect for each one and for each of the branches of the military. Our student council will now read each branch of the military. If you have served or are serving in that branch, if you would, please stand. If you have students, and you need to do this quietly, if you have someone who has served or is serving in that branch, you may stand also if you would like. Again, respectful.
My name is Madison Googe, a 7th grade student council representative, and I would like to take a moment to recognize the United States Marine Corps. Leading up to the American Revolution, a committee of the Continental Congress met to draft a resolution calling 2 battalions of Marines able to fight for independence at sea and on shore. Thus was born the Continental Marines on this date, November 10th, 1775. With the motto of always faithful, members of the Marines are trained to respond quickly from land, air, or sea. There are just over 200,000 men and women serving in the Marine Corps. I am undoubtedly proud to have a father who has served. And tomorrow is November 10th. Happy birthday, Marines. Semper Fi.
My name is Tessa Ross, Student Council Secretary, and I will be recognizing the United States Army. From the first skirmishes at Lexington and Concord in 1775 to the Civil War to the liberation of Nazi-controlled Europe, American soldiers are celebrated for their vigor and bravery in combat to protect our nation. Army soldiers fill many roles. They are doctors, lawyers, and engineers. They are electricians, computer programmers, and helicopter pilots. They are police officers, logistic experts, and civil affairs representatives. As the largest branch of the military, the Army performs land-based military operations throughout the world. More than 700,000 soldiers make up today's Army, including members of the Army Reserve. The Army's motto is, "This will defend."
My name is Talma Parker, Student Council President, recognizing the United States Coast Guard. Founded in 1790, the Coast Guard is one of the oldest organizations of the federal government and has protected the United States throughout its long history and served proudly in every one of the nation's conflicts. The nearly 42,000 men and women of the Coast Guard
enforce the nation's law at sea, protect from domestic and foreign threats to the nation's waterways and ports along the coast of the international waters, and perform vital life-saving missions. Its motto is honor, respect, and devotion to duty.
My name is Carly Kemper, Student Council Vice President. Please join me in recognizing the United States Air Force. In 1907, the U.S. Air Force, then called the Aeronautical Division, began as the part of the Army. In 1947, it became an independent branch. More than 300,000 men and women serve as members of the Air Force. For over a century, the U.S. Air Force has defended this country in the air, space, and cyberspace through the skills and bravery of American airmen. The Air Force pursues technological advances that allow them to attack anywhere, anytime, more quickly, and with greater precision. Its motto is aim high, fly, fight, win.
My name is Kirsten Kemper, Student Council Public. I will be recognizing the United States Navy. Founded in 1775, the Navy is our nation's seafaring military branch. There are more than 3,228 men and women of the Navy who help protect our nation. America's Navy is unique in that it conducts missions in air, on land, and at sea. For more than 240 years, the Navy has been involved with more than 10 major wars, countless battles and combat, peacekeeping, and humanitarian assistance in the effort to bring security, democracy, peace, and prosperity to the American people. The Navy's unofficial motto is not for self, but country.
Mr. Ballard and the band for an amazing performance. That was absolutely phenomenal. Let's give them another round of applause. As we close, I would like for everyone to please stand. Currently, we have military serving in the United States and in countries where they are putting their lives in danger for us. We have military that have fallen for your freedom. So at this time, I would like for us to have a moment of silence to offer up a prayer for those who are serving our country, a moment for you to reflect on what your freedoms mean to you, or a moment just to remember someone who may have served that is no longer with you. So we will now observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Students, we will remain standing as we have asked our veterans to leave first and recognize and honor them again with a round of applause.